come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
I don't know you today.
Whatever.
Because you're not wearing red and you don't have on your red glasses and your red necklace. You're not wearing red, so I have no idea. Who are you? What's your name?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us
Are you ignoring me?
evening on the Village Radio.
Are you ignoring me? You're ignoring me on the Village today? Hi, everyone. Hello, villagers. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We don't appreciate the person on the screen because I have no idea who she is, because she won't tell us who she is. But thank you for watching us, viewing, participating in the Village, and most of all, hitting the subscribe button and sharing, right? Today, Dr. Bryant and I we're doing live. Our guest is not, actually, the guest had to change your date on us. So we're here today. A lot of Trumpian news, a lot of other things that are going on in the city. Our mayor lashed out against Andrew Cuomo today in his first fight back on some of the issues, which I actually agree with. I agree with, last night at the community board, the board passed its first liquor license for Black-owned business here in New York City. In our district.
Okay.
Giving that recommendation.
Okay.
A lot of things. We'll talk about the liquor license. We talk about a few other things and how to go about it and some of the issues that we're having. And, that's kind of like, welcome back. How are you doing, young woman? Who are you and what's your name?
I am doing fabulous. It is the first day of spring, ladies and gentlemen. So I am excited because the best season will be.
And who are you? Why won't you tell people who you are?
They know who I am.
Who are you?
I am Dr. Joanne Bryant. That's all.
PhD or EDD?
Lord,
Well, it's a good question, actually, honestly. Tell the audience what's the difference between an EDD and a PhD? What's the difference?
more work. Seriously.
That's insulting to an EDD. Just tell them, besides more work.
No.
It's not more work.
It is more work
because you have different kind of work. Right? Let me insult my fellow EDD people. What's the difference between a PhD and just like an MD would say that, they have more work than you do, and you would disagree, right?
No, when I say more work, it's more work to do.
No, it's not.
Okay, so you explain it then.
Ladies and gentlemen, a PhD.
That's the highest level.
They're both doctors, right? Mm-hmm. So you have your different kind of doctors. You can have a doctorate in almost anything. right? You could have a doctorate in almost anything. That's generally the highest degree. So a PhD, a doctor,
Philosophy. Philosophy.
doctor of philosophy is basically that you went through, you did your thesis, you did a dissertation, you did a dissertation. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's kind of like a book. Like you have to research something and present it before a board. And some people actually fully publish their dissertation into a research journal or someplace like that for what they call academia, right? They call it academia, and they present the work. A medical doctor is one that is there to provide medical care, right? They still have to do.
You didn't say medical. You said
No. I was going to explain all of them. I was going to explain all of them, right? So, like the medical doctor is one that studied sciences and did their research work on research on something, and then they did their rotation, become a doctor, and provide medical work and medication, blah blah blah, just like a psychiatrist, a podiatrist. Just depends on how many years you do your rotation. And EDD is also a doctor of education, is a doctorate in education, and generally that usually leads to like more administrative work. So you are more like a doctor, like if you want to be a school building leader or superintendent or along, like you could do that with a PhD, but you have to do an extra.
No. Here's the
You
thing.
could do it with a PhD, but you have to do extra courses to
For
get
what?
in order to get to be a school building leader. You cannot be a school building leader with a PhD.
No. I wasn't even thinking about your
my response.
Yeah, your response like that.
Right. So right. So
the difference is research. When I say more work, the PhD, you're doing a lot more research.
Yeah, well, with a PhD, but with an EDD, you have to show how your work as a doctor can affect administrative policies, whereas a PhD is more like, I'll give you a good example. So like with a PhD, you might have to do a work on how crime affect poverty, for example, and you have to go through that research and do surveys and read books and read articles, and maybe have to understand the psychology of crime and criminology.
There's a lot more focus on research.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's why I said, and you told me.
Whereas a PhD is kind of, no, but with an EDD, you still have to do research, right?
Right. You are doing research, period. No matter what. At the end, you both produce something.
Right.
But it's a lot.
But your research task is different. Right. Your research task is different. And both of you still have to defend your work, right? And defending your work meaning that you have to sit before a board and present your work for them to say, yes, Dr. Bryant, you can be a doctor. Yes. And the other thing too, yes, Dr. So-and-so, you can be a doctor of education. And then you still also have like Doctor of Divinity, which is still a ministerial doctor, right? To be a pastor, or not a pastor. You don't need a doctorate to be a pastor, but you need a doctorate in divinity to say that you studied the Bible and understand it to the fullest extent, and divinities and doctorates don't really cross over, right? So even an honorary doctor, so people receive honorary doctor, generally those cost you money. Like you pay money to an institution, or you're a big donor and they recognize you as a doctor. You're still a doctor, right? So you can still actually use the doctor, like Sean Paul got his doctorate from, what is it, Brown? He got it from, or Harvard or something like that. But it's an honorary doctor, but he's still Dr. Orville. No, which one of them is Orville? One of them is Orville, and Sean Paul, whoever it is, Shaggy. got his doctorate, his
But they
honorary
don't,
doctorate.
they might
But
see
you
it.
can use it because you're a doctor. You are a doctor. So his name is Dr. Orville something, another something. But it just at the end it shows what the doctor is. It's just like a medical doctor. Like you have a medical, you could have a medical doctor, or what's the other one? OP obstetrics or something. I know, but there's another medical doctor that's not an MD, but just still a doctor, like an OD or something like that.
There's all different types of that.
Yeah, but they're all different. Even a lawyer is a doctor. Like a lot of people don't know that a lawyer is a doctor. A lawyer has a doctorate in jurisprudence. So a lot of people don't know because most lawyers don't use doctor such and such. Most of them will use a doctor if they're teaching, right?
And
Even like a nurse practitioner, right? So you could have a doctorate in nurse practitioner, whatever the term is, but a lot of nurse practitioners don't use the doctorate to it. They just say that I'm a nurse practitioner. But a lot of
Star Girl. So another thing, the time span that you finish is another to look into consideration.
Like I think like you can spend another six months to a year with a PhD.
EDD might take you between 3 years, 2 to 3 years, where sometimes a PhD might take you 6 years. So 5 less.
No,
it is true.
That's not really true.
It took me 6 years.
Yeah, it took you 6 years because you didn't go full time.
I did go.
How do you go full time? A PhD is supposed to take you 3 to 5 years, and a doctorate is supposed to take you.
No, I did double. I'm a kind of
okay. Then you got to explain that. So don't be like
no. It did take me because
but if it took you 3 to 6 years is because you didn't just get a doctorate, you got a double doctorate. It's different. Like you get a double degree.
Anyway, let's continue. Hi, Andre. Let's bring Andre up because you are getting on my nerves.
You getting on my nerves because you tell me
how does that make sense?
False news. False, a whole bunch of false. Yo, Andre, she's just spewing pure falsehood.
Well, wait. So first, I'm like, it's funny how she said, Roger getting on my nerves. Maybe Andre will not. And then second, I don't know how long it would generally take with PhD, but I feel like depending on the person too. I mean, is that an average you just mentioned, Roderick? It's like
your PhD, and then it depends on what degree you have. It also depends on if you have a master's going in. That also is a factor. So sometimes if you have a master's, they might look at it for some credit to minimize the amount of years that you have to do your PhD. So a lot, and if you have other postgraduate degrees, right? A whole bunch of factors. But generally speaking, depending on what you're studying, just like a medical doctor, it takes 3 to 5 years, depending on what you're doing. And then you could have specialization, which then can take you longer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for explaining.
Right. Don't be confusing our audience.
What are you talking about?
You're 3 to 6, you're in your 6 years.
It could take you 3.
And I just call you a dunce. Why it take you 3 to 6 years? A dunce bat.
A dunce for what?
She's like, what is that?
You lost your mind.
Yeah, right. Calling the person with a PhD a dunce bat, right? I got a nerve. Andre, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm getting on her nerves. Hi, Dr. Brian. Let me stop getting on your nerves. All right. How are you doing? How's your week?
Yeah, Andre, how are you? I'm
talking to you. Oh, wow. Andre, you notice that? Yo.
How are you doing this evening, Andre? How was your week?
That's funny. Well, I mean,
Andre, when you're done, can you ask her the same question I asked her? How was her week? Yeah.
How was her week? So I'm good. I'm tired. I've been working on part of my book, but like an expanded version.
All right.
That's supposed to maybe like the end of this month, going into the next month. It's an expanded version, really, but it's more so like a workbook. There'll be multiple aspects, multiple pieces to it. So there's a drawing I have in my background here, but I even redid the drawing itself.
You can't see it.
No, because I don't have it. All right, let me see if I could show you all the one that I have in the background here. Okay, so you can see there's the drawing right here. I mean, a lot of people seen it,
Mhm.
but I've updated this drawing and I'm psyched about it. So when I get the canvas for the updated one, I will see. Hopefully, we'll be able to tell the difference. But I'm hype about it. So, but yes, so I've been just working on that a great deal.
So what's the children's expression to when you're hype about something? What's the children's expression?
Oh, me when I'm hype.
No, what do your children say in your school when they're hype? What's the word?
Oh,
I don't know.
excited and all that. I mean,
No, they don't use excited, man.
no,
Excited
they
is an
don't.
old
It's like
people word.
they use word like happy. Like if it's not when it's
No,
not
they
when
don't.
they're
They
not.
have. I gotta ask my son, like, what does this word glaze mean, or like,
Oh no, yeah, that don't sound
or
right,
some
man.
other expression
Yeah.
of glee, right? They don't use no damn happy.
Nah, like the I hear that the students them use words like glaze, but it's like the overpraise somebody in a sense.
Mm.
That's how they use it. But they come up with some terms and it just sounds weird when they're using the terms. It's like what? And then they'll
They sound
explain
like
it.
Dr. Brian, just weird when they use terms and just. Juju, come on, you got to give me something, Juju.
Wait, Joanne is frozen?
Is she?
Oh no, she not. She just oh man. Roderick, man. Oh gosh.
Juju.
How you doing, Joanne?
So let's move right along.
How you doing, Joanne? How you doing? How you doing?
Okay. Let's move along.
Roderick be crazy, man. Roderick be crazy.
So
So
a lot going on.
but so I want to dive in real quick, right?
Mhm.
I want to dive in 'cause I love studying the market a great deal, especially because I'm knowing it. So even I was listening to this guy talking about
Wait,
free.
Andre,
Yeah.
your background lighting changed, like it got darker.
Oh no. I think I put up a blurry one. Oh wait. I don't know why.
I can see you. I'm just saying that's what it just got. It was very well lit before, and then you change it to that background that you had, and then you come back.
No, probably change.
So, Dr. Brian, you want me to be serious? All right, I'll be serious.
So the guy was talking about trade and how the Trump and some of these large companies really talking about investing in the manufacturing here in America, right? Because of course, because of those tariffs, but they've been doing it abroad because it's cheaper. So then they give a 4-year time to really make, the billions of dollars come back to America. But it's funny when he was saying it how Trump may not know, but I'm like, Trump possibly know. But either way, in 4 years' time, another administration is gonna come in, and perhaps those companies who were talking about within 4 years they'll make sure that they start manufacturing in America. If it's cheaper to have do a lot of production and your work build your company when you have labor abroad, it's like, why do it here? Yes, the tariffs as used for protection, but if it's cheaper to do it overseas, why do it here? So them saying within about 3-4 years time we'll have things going well in America, but within 4 years time Trump gonna be out. So I thought that was very, very interesting, really. Like, is manufacturing really gonna be coming here within that time?
It's gonna be interesting, because the whole setup and layout of this country is changing by the day. Things rights eliminated, and we spoke about this before the election, but to actually see some of that, people are like, oh my god, this really happening. So they never took anything that this man had said prior seriously. For example, the right of freedom of speech is slowly but surely is being eliminated, slowly but surely. So be careful what you say. Then to top it off, where there was a ban for restaurants and other places, public places, for not segregating. They eliminated those bans and said, hey, go right ahead. When we used to have the color only signs or black only or white only. So to remove a ban against contractors or restaurants or people from having a certain segregating and saying, okay, there was no segregation, there was no something. It's I don't even know what to say about that. It's they're delusional, as though history never happened. Delusional or warped view. So
Yeah, people be having historical amnesia, or we quickly forget certain things.
yeah, and that's why they want to eliminate history altogether, eliminate Black history, eliminate, certain other type of, cultural history. So it is a shame.
Yeah, today, Andre, on the same, not on the same topic that you and Dr. Brian are discussing, but I also just looking over that the interest rate, right? So the Federal Reserve keeps interest rates steady and expects to cut interest rate two times this year.
Yeah.
But my fear when we talk about the economy, inflation, the stock market, the stocks, and how we're doing, is that are these cuts and home ownership, right? Are these cuts going to be deep enough to make home ownership more affordable, which can generate income and generate wealth, right? Wealth in America as we look at it. And while there's some stocks that are plummeting and people need to to sell, right?
No, people don't need to sell. People don't need to sell.
Oh, you need to sell, not sell all your stocks. That's panic sale. I'm talking about like some stocks that people need to review their portfolio and let it go, right? But also, the Cybertrucks, they pretty much have recalled all of them as well, right? Recalled all of them to see what was happening.
You see Trump on parade with a Tesla in the White House, I hear.
Yeah, which is illegal because you're not supposed. It's actually
when that happened, though, Tesla ran up a little bit.
Yeah, but the other thing I tell people is that the 75 million people that the 75 million people that were voters for Trump, them buying, if 1 million of them buy Tesla, he's still making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's the interesting thing to think. I have to switch it quickly. So Mr. Tesla himself is paying off some of the Congress people who are siding with anything that Trump states. He's sending money their way in regards to the judge that told Trump not to send those migrants overseas, and he told them to halt. So now they want to impeach that judge. So Mr. Tesla himself is funding and pushing Congress people to push towards the impeachment of anyone that goes against what Trump states.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So that should be illegal.
All of these things should be illegal, but money makes the world go round. And
so where's the check and balance?
There is none.
For being
you know what?
paid?
Andre, while we talk about the checks and balances and talk about those illegal stuff, Trump, I think, understands that he might be in office for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But he's trying to push for 8 and then try to make ways for his family. It's kind of like creating a king, right? A dictatorship, right?
Who said that before?
Hopefully,
Who said that? Our governor says, King what? Did she not say that?
what is there that would like run it down for me really, that what would make
So
him
he's
be able to go
trying to
for that,
change the
despite
Constitution.
him trying and all that? What's really going to allow him to possibly be in there for more than the 4 years? Like, what could possibly allow him?
Let's talk about what Dr. Brian just spoke about. He's paying. Remember, a lot of people are in power because power begets money and money begets power, right? So if you are essentially making millions of dollars by being in office, you're going to vote against your constituents, right? You're going to vote against, because you don't care about whether or not you get elected. You care about how well your pocket is lined. And again, I'm not speaking for everybody, right? I'm not speaking for everybody, but there are people, Democrats and Republicans, who want that $1 million, right? Remember, he's worth $400 billion, right? So if he gave every single congressperson $2 million, right? If you give every single one $2 million, $3 million, right? He's still touching. He could even give everyone $5 million, and $5 million for a lot of these is a lot of money for them to vote in favor of giving the next term, because that's what he's trying to do. Remember, they're trying to pass this law. So, like Dr. Brian said, hey,
wait, they're passing the law?
Yeah, they want to pass the law, right, to amend the Constitution, right? As Venice is saying, right? Hey, Miss V to the world, to amend the Constitution to allow him to run again. So and then he wants to pass it on. So remember, it's also about legacy, right?
But I'm saying though, what would possibly allow that to happen, considering also we have like dinos and Renos, Republicans in name only and Democrats in name only, right? Because I think even I'm looking at it with the Republicans, them, all them jump and vote for him and all, and then some of what he's doing right now, crazy. But I can't say all of them in the House and Rep is for him, and I can't say that they would be in full-on support to give him or to allow that to happen, where he get more the Constitution of where he ends up in what do you call it?
In a third term. But think about it. For many people, Chuck Schumer sold out, right?
There's
Chuck
that
Schumer
too.
sold out to allow to agree to a lot of things, right?
Explain, elaborate on that.
So the vote
preventing the shutdown, a lot of people feel like he sold out in that, but I mean, if he
that's bottom line to
if
avoid.
he didn't do it, if he didn't do it, then no, you would have Democrats being blamed for the long haul too. So it's like and sorry to cut you off, Roger. It's like unintended consequences, right?
Yep.
So it's like you in a position where like you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a choice, and you figure like between one or the other. If I don't go for this and cause a shutdown, there's gonna be that consequence. Versus if I go for it and prevent the shutdown, there's a consequence. Which one is gonna hurt less? It's like when people were talking about vote for the lesser of two evil, which I find crazy, but I understand the reasoning there as well.
Andre, and to add to that, the flaunting, a lot of people are enamored. I mean, I see Vinicius' point about the Supreme Court and trying to make them make that decision. But a lot of people are enamored by other people's money, right? So you can convince and I'm sure a lot of voters who are up for that raffle for $1 million voted for Trump because they wanted that money. That people are
Elon is the
insane,
real president, though.
right? People are insane when it comes to money. So,
What you said?
a lot
I
of
said
people,
Elon is a real president, though.
right?
I'm joking.
A lot of people, in essence, are enamored, like Bloomberg, Donald Trump. I'm enamored by their money, right? For the love of money. So a lot of Congress people who are in especially swing states, right, and swing counties, they could lose their seat. And so he could threaten that, or Elon Musk, I say President Musk, right, could threaten these Congress people
Mm-hmm.
into forcing them to vote, not forcing them, but voting under duress.
You also having dirt on them too. This makes me think of even House of Cards, right? That series on Netflix.
Hey,
you know,
Marissa.
and you have the way how they were in the series itself, and how voting for elected officials was happening. You see behind the scenes, everybody had dirt on everybody. And that was what a lot of people were afraid of, the dirt itself. But to the point you make, enamored by people's money, right? It's crazy. I think I'm also even looking at the people who are also in control of certain things. Like, yes, you are the president, but you also have other people who run certain aspects of government.
Like Andre, to give a good example of what I'm talking about, like, and what we're all talking about right now. Think about it. In 1980, they voted to have a Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
Legally speaking, he's supposed to have Congress remove or get rid of the Department of Education. And what he has done is essentially his revamping that, like, there's no checks. And I think Empress is right. Trump is president because Democrats are a joke and they're scared. And what Marissa is saying, hi Marissa, hi Empress, is this is not a joke. These things are factual. Like, people are taking these things
She was
like
referring to the Elon.
I think this reminds me historically, and I'm sure nobody on this call, right, was alive. Well, maybe that's not true. But if you think about what Hitler did, right? When Hitler was elected premier of Germany,
Mm-hmm.
he was duly elected. People fail to realize that a lot of dictators, Putin was duly elected. Okay, let us not be fooled, people. Right? They were all duly elected, and a few others duly elected and never left office. Right? Even Venezuela, duly elected, didn't leave office. Rigged the election. You people, let us stop saying these things can't happen, because they can.
So I don't necessarily think that it can't happen. I think what I'm also saying,
I think highly unlikely is probably a better statement.
Yeah,
but not impossible.
right.
Because that's what he wants.
But I'm just saying, even like the pathway to that. And if we because people have historical amnesia, really forget. Like, if you don't learn from history, you feel you will repeat it. You're doomed to repeat it.
That cycle. Yep.
But so we know, right? We also have the primary the next 2 years, right? We have those elections coming up, and I think what's important to even the audience here really is that, considering it being such a big concern as well, because it is, what are you gonna do come the next 2 years, right? What are you gonna do? What are you doing now also as you consider those possibility? I do think, even in the same as I mentioned, the Dino and the Reno, what Trump is doing right now definitely is really making a lot of people worried regarding the economy, and a lot of people who even were saying that, yeah, he's great for it and all, they're also super concerned. And so putting all this money in his campaign, they're probably like doubling back to, and so him really doing all this tariff nonsense, I really believe, based on what I'm seeing, he's trying to push the Federal Reserve's hand to lower interest rate, which of course now they're saying they're believed to going to be doing 2 cuts this year, when it was scheduled for 1 last year. During Biden term, they were saying about 3 or 4, and then it quickly went to 1, and now it's back to 2. So all this is really like a shakeup. I mean, we definitely have to see more data just the same way. But I think with regards to what Trump is doing, I think I'm still even just looking, but also at the same time, in 2 years' time, we can make action at the polls. We can do something at the poll and still do what we can do.
But Andre, this is kind of like my point too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that action at the polls? Right? What is that action? Is America upset enough that they're going to make changes? Or are America, like Empress Danielle said, the Democrats are a joke?
They're going to change up.
They do very good to fight against each other, but not fight against the common enemy.
So true.
Right?
You keep them accountable.
Right?
I think one of the things that we lack too is keeping elected officials accountable. Right? The minute they go into power, it's like okay, I did my civic engagement duty. I did my civic duty. I voted, and that's it, really. Right? So it's just like really engage. Whether if they're speaking, you have to be engaging with them. And I think a lot of people, George was saying, are people really so upset? Right? The thing that I mentioned either a week or 2 weeks ago is even when we talk about hitting the pockets, right? If you hit the pockets of some of these corporations to not necessarily spending there, but also it has to be like a galvanization of a group of people. We decide we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do that. That can be beneficial, but then you have people who are like, man, I still gotta live. So, are people upset enough? Probably not. I mean, shoot,
nope.
Something
no
could
sweat
happen.
Equity. No sweat equity.
Yeah, like something could happen, right? Say we have some sort of incident that affect the community. People go out and drove and they go fight, but then now you say, hey, big basketball game coming up or some crazy football. People like, all right, I gotta watch this. I
think, Andre, we have short-term memory when it comes to the struggle.
Historical.
We are not in for the long haul. Like our counterparts in the 60s and the 50s and the 60s, that would do without, walk many days, do sit-ins and shut-ins. Everybody's worried about themselves, and they're not concerned about the overall impact of everything. Well, what's interesting, people are not willing to sacrifice for what they believe in.
Yeah.
What about you, Doc? I see you smiling, dear Dr. Bryant.
Even his last comment really
Is she muted?
made up.
Yeah, I was muted. I was muted.
Should be campaigning now. And they wait until I've got the election coming up. Let me go probably like 5 months, 6 months before.
I am this whole I'm disappointed with Democrats, period. I'm just disappointed with people overall. Democrats, independent, Republican, people are not stepping up. When wrong is wrong, wrong is wrong. If it's it's whatever party you're part of, affiliated, you need to speak up when they're doing wrong. But we have a bunch of people who, like Andre said, and Roderick says, they'll fight against each other, but they won't fight what they need to fight for. So that is the problem, because the thing is, you see all these wrongs happening, but it's okay. You can allow him to continue to change, like Denise said, to change or threaten people once they go against, hey, this is the law, but they're changing the law as time goes on. That's a problem, because these are laws that was put in place based on events that happened, people dying, for laws to change. And now it's as though the death didn't mean anything. It's as though
But if you don't agree with those laws, shouldn't you have an opportunity to protest against those laws to see if you can change those laws?
If I don't agree with the laws that's in place,
right? Shouldn't I be able to? I should be able to protest those laws to see if I can effectuate change.
Yeah, but you're being silenced now as well. So, or some of the laws that's in place to protect discrimination, to protect racism or segregation, that's being changed because
I like it.
In certain minds, it's not happening. There's no such thing that's happening. You know, it's not possible. So here it is. Let me just remove it, or let me just make a law and say, hey, let me eliminate this or ban this. And it could reverse back to how it was before people protest and made changes and move positively. And there was a check and balance system. So it's okay.
Okay. I think that is why it's important to be involved in this whole political structure, because we are the ones who can effectuate the change if we organize well enough to understand the importance of what we're trying to do.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, what are we going to do about it? We're going to bitch and moan as usual and just go back to our normal daily lives and not understand that we put people in place, and it's because of our apathy. You know, certain people get elected. You know, this is I think the whole thing is people don't understand. You know, I guess with the president, I may not agree with what's going on, but this is what he told us what he's going to do.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you silence people for speaking up, or you're using scare tactic or using threats to eliminate them because they're fighting for their right, then that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, but that's why we continue to fight.
Yeah,
that's why we continue to fight.
They're removing.
You know, John and Dr. Bryant. I was sitting here thinking of an expression. To the victor goes the spoil, right? I was thinking about that expression just now as we're talking. And a lot of us who are not democratically, but Democrat swinging, right? Whether for me, I'm more moderate Democrat, or Joanne, who's maybe moderate or progressive, or whatever we want to label ourselves as. But all of us on this ear lean more to Democratic voting stance than we do to the Republican voting stance. And on the Democratic radio, right? On the Democratic radio, we are complaining, right? We are making noise, making conversations about the unfairness or the stupidity of a lot of the things that are the Trumpianism, right? That is happening, right?
Right.
But when you listen to the right-wing conservative Republican radio, they're loving this. And that's who voted him in, right? And so they're continuing to push the agenda. So to the victor goes the spoil, right? Because, you know, one, we can't galvanize. We can't come together. We're chaotic, even on these things. Like I was listening to Reset Radio, the program yesterday, and the rabbi who was talking made a good point, right? We as Democrats, we're focused on the 20, we're focused on the 20, not on the 80. And that makes us like give in for the transgender issue, right? Give it up. Forget it. Make the point that nobody wants undocumented criminals and give that up, right? Give those arguments up. We fight these things while the Republicans are seething, or they're like predators foaming at the mouth. As soon as we open up our mouths to say something, and we're not condemning certain things, we're pushing these issues that just, I don't want to see males in women's sports. I don't care for it. I don't think it's a good, but as Democrats, a lot of them, why not give everybody that? No.
But then, you know, Roderick, our problem is if they don't agree with you, they want to cancel you.
Yes, exactly. How dare you say that? Right? How dare you say that? So you're right, John. A lot of Republicans are willing to, because I want you to speak out against not against transgenderism, but against transgender in sports. It's two different things. Saying that a person, you could change your sex if you want to, that's your decision. But playing in sports is a different issue. Maybe in the United States, I would say 30, if that many. The biggest one came the transgender woman in the Olympics who won the Olympics, right? That was the biggest. But again, one in the Olympics. And the Democrats are making it the biggest issue. No, transgender, as a Democrat, transgender females should not play in women's sports, period.
And that doesn't mean that I'm closed-minded to other social issues that exist.
Exactly.
And that's the point, because if I don't agree with you on this one issue,
right,
then therefore you cancel me and we can't agree on other issues.
And that issue, John, like I said, like we're saying, it's not the biggest issue. Who wants criminals in your country? I think even people are
not even that. You know, they talk about what are they doing to these people that are deporting them. My thing to this is, do you want those individuals who've committed crimes of violent individuals to stay here in this country? So if you want them to stay here in this country, what I would do then is, so why, when I want to put a homeless shelter in your community, that houses these individuals, you're up in arms. Every equal share. This is what you want.
You know, John, on that point, right? Last night at the community board, we had a vote. We had a vote for a cannabis license in the community.
Right.
And
who was it? Dr. Bryant's license?
Yeah, there was Dr. Bryant, man. She wanted to own her own cannabis spot. Right. And some of the community members were in an uproar about the cannabis license, right? About the cannabis license being given. Going back to your point, right? You don't want young black men, young black and brown women to get a criminal record for smoking marijuana. You don't want that.
Don't use my name and marijuana together.
I didn't use it. It was somebody else. I don't know who that is.
John, don't use my name and marijuana together.
Because I know you've been going at it for me. You know, all John.
But Dr. Bryant, I you know what? On that thing. So.
No, hold on, John. Let me just finish the point, and then you can just jump right in.
Cannabis and Dr. Bryant. Cannabis. I'm sorry, Dr. Bryant.
Yeah, right. So the point that I'm making is, we don't want our young black and brown men and women to get criminal, because a lot of us have criminal records. Millions have criminal records for marijuana. Now you have a legal path and make millions and return money to the community. Like you say, John, not in my hood. I want them not to do this, but I want it not. Where do they live? They live in your hood.
Yeah, true.
Yes, John, you were saying.
Yeah, I think they. Yeah. You know what? That's this whole cannabis.
I'm sorry, John. Read Empress Danielle's comment. That's what I was looking at.
Read the comment. When I cannot understand why everyone is fighting and protesting for criminals to be here and not to their own country, use that same energy in your own country.
And I think that's what we're saying, though, right? We're saying we don't want the criminals here, but that is that 20%, right? Is that 20%? Let's focus on that 80% of the argument that we want, the social justice, the education. I think, Dr. Brian, were you the one? I think, no, Venice, I keep saying Venice. Venice brought up the point about oligarchy and the dropping of education. Like you and Andre both.
Hold on, I want to ask y'all guys that. Y'all guys are in education, right? So what do you think about this? What if y'all haven't gone over this already? It's him getting rid of this Department of Education. What do y'all think?
It's a problem. Because the thing is, there's so many laws with the Department of Education. I remember I had said, I think it was it last year? It might have been last year. I said, you know what? Forget. I actually do want to work for the Federal Department of Education, because I want to be able to make changes that impact not just one state, but just overall all the states. So now to leave it in the hand of state to say, hey, you know what, we're going to fund this or fund that, which they do originally, but it's a set, hey, there's certain regulations that's put in place about discrimination, about special needs, about student loans, so that it's not one size fit all, but it's across the board. Like, hey, Florida's not making their own rule, and then Boston is doing something totally different. So many things are tied to the Federal Department of Education that people don't understand. Like a lot of money is, after COVID, a lot of money was spent for student lunch and breakfast. And here it is, a lot of kids come to school hungry. But when you eliminate that and just eliminate that and the funding that goes towards school and helping schools that might not have the funding, that might be in a poor area, and you're leaving it just for the states, then that's where discrimination comes into play. Hey, if I live in an area that's, predominantly people who are poor, and there's no way of me to come out, then that means that you're getting no money. If the funding and the taxes are not enough in order to support the schools for renovation and fixing and for it to run basically, it's going to impact that area. So originally, people in Long Island don't want people in New York City just to go to Long Island. It's a crime certain places. People get arrested and go to jail for going to a school district that's better. So now when you leave it in the hand of a state, it's not even. You don't get the same funding. You don't get the equal amount that different states get. So it's a dangerous game that they're playing. They look at it as saving money, but at what cost? You don't want to be compared to see how many people are not learning and not successful when you compare it to the world. We are underneath. We are not meeting the standards. And to be afraid to hear that, hey, you know what? United States is not meeting the mark. You have other countries that's doing better educationally. Oh no, we don't want to hear that. So we're gonna just eliminate that division. And that's making improvement or trying to push everybody towards going higher. So now here it is, a school that is already struggling in New York City, in New York State, is going to become even put it like this year would, if everything goes the way that they put it as, a lot of schools are going to shut down. Unfortunately, a lot of schools won't have the funding to continue to run on its own. Charter schools runs like are very similar too, but they receive funding from the public, where public school, they don't receive public funding like that. There's laws in place for that. So it is a problem. I know that they put the onus back on. They want to push the agenda of, hey, parents make choices or whatever. But when they're pushing one agenda versus another, it's not equal stakes. It's not, and everyone is not held to the same standard as a public school. So it's unfortunate because public schools cannot deny children. You are entitled to education no matter what. But when you say, hey, they're not doing good, so let's just shut them down. Let's not send money because we're seeing that they've been failing all along. Well, you are the problem that they're failing because you eliminated all the funding that could support.
But Dr. No, a lot of times we give a lot of funding, but we don't get the results that we should be getting. You can't continue to throw money at the problem. How can we do something to change the results?
So, accountability. Who is responsible for making sure that accountability all across? So you can put an accountability system in place, but who's really paying attention to the accountability part?
I think that's what you're saying. I think that's very important.
Here, so
Andre, go ahead. You were saying
so, and I agree with Joanne about this too. Real like federal having that control. Now states don't necessarily are able to go out the line, but you have some states that still, a governor might say, this something must be different when it comes to maybe the curriculum or something related in the state itself. And then to what John said, throwing money at the problem. What do we do? We talked about accountability earlier too, right? How do we ensure that when we require the work to be done, how do we ensure that is really getting done, even with the accountability measures that we put in place? The other thing that I was wondering too is this we always talk about the
go.
system itself. We've always talked about a system. A system is in place that keeps some people down and keeps some people up. Rich get richer, poor get poor. We constantly see this always happening in of itself, and it's like is the system doing what it's already intended to do? That's one. So one more point before you go, Roger. Right? I was listening to 60 Minutes the other day, and there was this guy. I don't remember the name of the agency or the group, but they were tasked with ensuring that the president doesn't overstep his boundary, right? And Trump comes in and fired that entire agency. They were put in place after
oversight committee.
Yeah, who was the president? The Watergate, was that Lyndon B, right?
Nixon.
No, Roger, you muted. One of them.
Richard Nixon. Dr. Frank said.
Right. So that committee was put in place around Nixon, and Trump comes in and just fired them. The other thing too is that to be able to just come in and just rid something like Department of Education, it's just stuff like that is always mind-boggling to me, but not really, because it's like something like that being put in place shouldn't just be easy for you to just, let me just write executive order. And that's why I've recently just started questioning a lot of how executive orders really work, right? Like you could just, let me just jump in and sign, and that's it.
Yeah, but it's only limited for the period of time in which you're in the office.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine first year, my man could sit down in the office like half of the year and just write exec orders. So now
that's what he's doing.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you really, and that's the thing, the council that was put in place to make sure that you as a president don't overstep your boundary. Congress put you in place, and then now me as a president, you're supposed to make sure I don't overstep my boundary, and you just come in and fire us. It's political,
right.
Economic.
So wait, I want to pause you for a minute, Andre, and pause everybody. We're missing a few of the comments, but before I want to give each of you, I want to throw a question out before, and then I want to go right to the comments, right? Because we don't want to miss.
We got great comments.
Right, we got a lot of comments from individuals, but I want to throw a question out there first, and then we go directly to the comment. I think what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do it this way. I'm gonna just attack a comment, and I'm gonna give one person an opportunity to answer it, and then we move on, right, from the comment. So the first question I want to throw out to John, right, to John, who was in office for an extended period of time and understand how government policies work, right? In 1980, when Jimmy Carter signed into existence the Department of Education, when we look back in the 1954 with Thurgood Marshall and separate but equal argument to the Supreme Court, or the Little Rock 7, do we believe
the Little Rock 9?
Little Rock 9, right? Do we believe that the purpose of the Department of Education is still needed? As a person who was in office, do you look at it and say, one, should it have been eliminated by Congress? Or B, do you think it's something that was needed? And then I'm giving you 2 minutes to answer it, and then we're going to move on to some of the comments.
I don't even need 2 minutes. I think you need the Department of Education more of a accountability to ensure that these states are actually doing what they intend to do with the money that you're sending to them. You need to me, it's just like you need I would say like an overseer, and making sure that the certain policies and procedures are being implemented. Because if you fully left it up to the states, some would, some wouldn't. So that's why I think the Department of Education was kind of sort of like universal, because every state, just such as the abortion issue, every state comes up with their own rules and regulations. So that's my take.
All right, Andre, throw this question at you from Jennifer Jolly, right? The states heavily rely on fund, the states that heavily rely on federal funding are now going to be screwed and they're going to be burnt by the decision. Do you agree with that statement? Why or why not?
Federal, so they voted. So one majority of the states voted for voted red. So there's that. So you have some of them who didn't vote for it. Burning themselves. I don't know if I would say necessarily burn, but of course there's gonna be some consequences. I mean, you're losing funding, you know, so that's going to be that's gonna hurt. That's really what I could say to that. Really, if you end up voting for what you thought was going to be in favor for you, and it's not, then you know you lose out. You lose out. You also have the states who didn't vote, and they're feeling it too. You know, so what we have to do, I mean, what people have always often done too, is come together and try to figure out something. You know, how do we, you know, maybe like do some sort of fundraising, something that's gonna end up garnering money. So we all are feeling the pain in that sense.
Dr. Bryant, Jermaine, who's in education like you in administration, right, that without the federal government, states could weaken and remove these protections, right, disproportionately affecting students with disability, what we call special education, students of color, and low-income families. I want to broaden that statement to even within the red states. How would you expound on that statement? Do you want to cut away some of the things? Do you want to add more things in there? What do you think what a fellow administrator is making when he makes the statement?
He's 100% correct. I mentioned that earlier because so many states depend on federal funding, and they create the laws for rules and regulations that other states must adhere to in order to guarantee students equal rights. But once that come into play, once you remove that, every state, like the abortion, like Andre was saying, they create their own laws. Like Florida stated, hey, I'm going to remove all Black history information. Now you have more and more states stating the same thing. It wasn't only Florida, Ohio did the same thing, that they removed some of the history in place. So now they're starting to remove some of the rights that students have as well, especially those with disability. So some of the states that voted for all red, black, blue, purple, whatever color they voted, unfortunately they're feeling it and their children's feeling it. Like the pre-K and early childhood, they depend heavily on federal government as well.
Right.
And unfortunately, now where states are saying, hey, we're going to put the kids in school as early as 3 years old, 4 years old. Once that funding is gone, what do you do with children who are already used to being in school? What do you do when there's no more funding to support them? And they're already established like 3K and pre-K. So now a state have to eliminate that and tell them, okay, you're going to have to wait until you're of age to go to school. So we're going backwards. They're going to regress. That social aspect that they build at 3 years old, the learning that they're doing at 3 and 4 years old, if they're in a shelter, they're not going to get that opportunity until later on. So as much as we're filling gaps now, we're going to have a bigger gap with removing the funding.
So I want to without its states would okay. So I want to address disparities when it comes to education, and I'm gonna throw this question out to all three of you, right? I'm gonna start with you, Andre, and then go to John, and then Dr. Bryant in that order, right? Why is teaching race just like Holocaust or slavery? Why do you believe it's imperative, and is because I hear it from all of the conversation, right? The disparities. Why are these things so important? And I also have a follow-up question, which is race and economics in education, right? So it's kind of like a little bit different, but somewhat similar, because we know that poverty affects how kids learn, right? Um, so, do you believe that race and education, historical perspective, is important? And B, how does poverty, and that affects mainly Black and Brown children? How do you think that affects education? Start with who did I say, Andre?
All right, so let me understand. Pretty much, how does poverty, race, and even economics impact education? To kind of just sum it up.
Right, that's one. And then also the removal, right? Dr. Bryant brought it up, and you've seen it a few times, and Venice's comment brought it up as well about the declassifying of education for race. And Cameron spoke about the disparity. Do you believe that that's an important part, the disparity, racial disparity in education and economic disparity? So it's about a disparity at this point. What effect do you think these changes are having, especially when you push it back to the state and no federal oversight? Is essentially what.
All right. So let me see if I could answer with based on my understanding. So one of the things Joanna had said earlier too about, and we talked about it, we're in federal there's a federal oversight, but you also have had states make changes regardless of federal oversight. And Florida is a big one. They always do something, change up, and it's just like, this is what's going to happen. Now, in terms of economic poverty and race, it makes me think about this one saying that we grew up with, remember where you're going, don't forget where you're coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, you have to know how was it like for people, and even your people, or the people that you identify with, what was it like for them to get to where we are right now? I was talking to my students the other day, how valuable it is to even learn about economics, learn about political structures, learn about what's going on in a community. For me to even be able to say that to you, you have to know what we went through, what I had to do to get here, what my people and family had to do to get here, to be able to teach this stuff to you. And how do we get ourselves out of this position, such as poverty itself? How do you solve the issues of poverty? I want them to even start thinking about it even at their young age. And so them understanding economics, even the little bits of economics, understanding simply even to like, why is it that my parent might be working a certain amount and then I end up having to pay so much taxes. Okay, if I know that itself, I probably can start thinking about what I would do when I get to even 20, or even starting, at 18, or even where I'm at right now. How can I even start reading more or do something more to be able to make some changes, even in my household, even as a 13, 14-year-old. So even knowing those things is beneficial. And so the state, and this is quite interesting too, the state being able to say what can be done, such as removing certain aspects of a curriculum itself, that itself can impact what the students are going to learn. And so I always even pride myself, and even when I encourage my colleagues to, is that you as a teacher should be a lifelong learner, right? So in certain things, you can bring that to your classroom, regardless of what changes may even be placed into a curriculum. If they said don't talk about race, you as a lifelong learner, you're able to connect whatever it is in the curriculum to other things outside of the curriculum, as long as you're hitting the pointers that you're required to hit, and still being able to expose the children to things that are going to be important to them and are important to them. I think that's what's necessary. And so when it comes to the importance of poverty, economics, and race, that learning still is valuable. That learning that you're giving to them as a teacher, you are doing what you need to do in that sense. So
I just want to, before I go to John, follow-up question, because you made a point of still incorporating certain things. What about that? There's in New York City, a principal got fired because they express and allow for the expression of Gaza and their political perspective in terms of wanting the kids to know that it was okay to fight against Gaza. Just 30 seconds on that, and then we move on to John.
To Joanne.
No, to John.
No, that was for you, Andre.
Oh, that question was for me?
Yeah, because you touched on the fact that, you're still supposed to be able to incorporate certain learned things into the education to bring back issues, right? So what about, I'm saying, what about that principal or the teachers who were terminated or put into the rubber room because, or even Mahmoud Khalil, who is now in court fighting for his residency in the United States because you went against what the government was asking for.
So
what do you say to that? How do you incorporate it based upon that fear?
So, and this is what I say too, because not necessarily go against, right? So you are presented a curricula. You wanna follow what the curriculum is saying to do, but, and this is where even critical thinking comes in too, right? You going over the information in the curriculum, you go over what you're going to give to your students then, right? One of the books that I've never really fancy, To Kill a Mockingbird, right? If I'm supposed to be teaching that itself, I'm also bringing supplementals, right? Really having discussions with the students about what was happening around that time and bringing other information in that's related to the text. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'm still incorporating other stuff. So I'm not necessarily going against what I'm supposed to do, right? I think it's like being an insider. I think about what things that have happened to even like MLK and Malcolm X, and how someone entered into their space, gather information, doing what they're supposed to do, but also at the same time doing something else, and still sadly meeting their goals, right? And of course, it leads to the end of our revolutionary fighters. But it's like I have to be, and to even other educators, you have to be that one who is going to teach, but also expose the students them to things that are necessary, not necessarily going against. I think it's a balancing act or something like that, I would call it. But,
all right. John, your point, race disparity and oversight. What is your response?
My response is this: if you don't know your history, you are bound to repeat it. So it's important for us to know what transpired, what was the basis for these things getting to the point where they got, the impact that it had upon the community and society at that point in time. So moving forward now, how can we understand what happened in the past so we don't repeat it here in the present? So I think that's to put it plain and simple, that's basically what it is. That's what it actually is. Knowledge is wisdom, knowledge is power, but also knowledge gives you the ability to have the potential to create a professorial vision into the future, or how the future may look. So it's important to have the dialogue so we can have the understanding that's necessary for us to see what it could be like in the future, but ways in which we could make sure. Take for example, if you know how the conclusion is going to be written, what can you do in the process to change that conclusion? You know?
Gotcha. Dr. Bryant, same question. Just addressing our villagers out there. You know, you talk about disparity, race, and oversight. So how do you? And then you could throw in there, what can we do to I don't want to use the word organize, but to create opportunities to accept responsibility for change. You could throw that in there as well if you in your answer.
You added so many extras.
Well, I made it tougher for you. But I mean, that's what they're asking, right? That's what they're talking about, right? They're talking about the disparities, right? And I think
these disparities, when we think of New York State, there's a lot of disparities. Because if we only think of the city as not having, there's areas in New York State that don't have anything at all. Upstate New York, they're in worse shape than some of the students that we complain about, or some of the areas that we complain about that we're saying are lacking. So there are disparities in that. So we see it from one perspective, but we don't see a holistic perspective. Major disparities throughout. What can we do? Oh, Lord. Be more active. Be more active as a community in our children's lives. Be more active, not only your children's life, but the community overall. Schools are going to need a lot more support. Early childhood centers are going to need a lot more support. And that's not just saying support with the mouth. That means support with just being there, financially too. What we can do is collaborate with different businesses to help provide the support, because there will be major loss, major financial hits that's going to remove some of opportunities, the equal opportunities that would have been in place or that could be in place. So creating avenues where you're foreseeing some of the gaps and the holes and forming that relationship. So being a community of advocates for not only your children, but all children within your state, within your community, within just overall.
I want to touch on something real fast, and I think we're going to do a commercial and then we go to a different topic. I think we only have a few minutes left, so we want to go into a different topic. But you touched on the fact that you didn't touch on it, but I know that, so I'm incorporated that you've seen different parts of the state and different things in the state. Do you think this major disparity now and the lack of oversight from your perspective will have a greater impact when we look at the educational gap of students, right? There's a major gap between Black and brown children, as we know this from education. Do you foresee that there's going to be a widening gap?
That's an understatement. That is an understatement. It's an understatement. Is it going to widen the gap? we're going to have rivers and puddles and lakes. And, it's unfortunate. We're going to have such a huge disparity with the haves and have-nots. If we thought we had the haves and have-nots before, we're going to see it now more than ever. Those who have money to pay for tutoring or anything like that. So we're creating a whole different, there's neglected area, but we're going to see much more, unfortunately, much more. And unless we become advocates for all children, advocates for all rights, not only children but all rights, because the thing is disability, children with disability are going to get hit hard. Already they're hit because they need more support. But to remove that support from them, we need to speak up.
Absolutely. Andre, you want to run a commercial and then we move on. We have a couple topics. Want to visit the Mahmoud Khalil conversation a little bit, and also go ahead, you can run it.
One.
Want to get your personal income tax, business corporate tax, self-employment tax, quarterly tax, payroll tax, or sales tax filing done professionally?
Yeah.
Call U.S. Spirit LLC 718-676-0519 and take the worry out of your personal and business life. Tax compliance issues should be left to the pros. So when you want your business to grow, call the pros, because a successful business matters. U.S. Spirit LLC also handles accounting, bookkeeping, business startups, consultation, real estate, and many more services. Call U.S. Spirit LLC 718-676-0519 and ask for Howard DaCosta, CEO, to book a 1-hour evaluation at no cost to you. Take remote control of all your needs, and U.S. Spirit LLC will follow your lead. Want to work but don't have a social security number?
Yes!
Find out about getting a tax ID to pay your taxes. Call U.S. Spirit LLC or log on to www.usspirit.com. Team up for success.
Call Howard Housing Solution today for all your real estate needs. Sellers, we can get top dollar for your home, and our vast network of professionals can facilitate your move and help you purchase your dream home in another state. Buyers, we have a pulse on the market and can get you in a home quickly. Property owners, we can manage your property efficiently and allow you peace of mind. So why wait? Call Howard Housing Solutions today at 646-825-5560 for your sale, purchase, or property management needs. Conveniently located in East New York, Brooklyn. You can come to us at 577 New Lots Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, or we can visit in the comfort of your home. Call Howard's Housing Solutions today at 646-825-5560. Howard Housing Solutions. Real estate simplified.
Footprints Cafes now offers Caribbean flatbreads, available in 11 mouth-watering flavors, including favorites like jerk chicken, curry chicken, honey garlic chicken or shrimp, ackee and saltfish, garlic cheese, and more. Our flatbreads are satisfying and can be enjoyed by the entire family. So make it a flatbread night at Footprints and enjoy the fusion of flavors. These flatbreads are so good, you might just have to fight for that last piece. Good thing there's plenty more where that came from. Get yours today from any of our Footprints locations. Want to enjoy your flatbread at home? Then order on Uber Eats and get it delivered right to your door. We'll see you there.
So I want to switch focus for a minute, and thank you all of our village out there for participating in this conversation. I hate to move on to a different topic, but before I even move on, just a reminder for everyone across many states, not just New York City. I know the guest last week spoke a lot about the tax liens in New York City, but it's going to be affecting a lot of states. Right. In New York City, imagine if New York City alone has more than 27,000 houses that are on tax liens, and sometimes government can work out ways for you to get it for. And also, I want to make sure before I forget to invite everyone out, including my co-host and hostess, executive producer out on Saturday for the naming of the conference center and the grand opening of the yard at the corner of Brooklyn and Church Avenue. So it's literally right there. They actually have the stuff set up to come out and see the Curtis Nelson, myself, and Swaby. They'll be naming rooms after us, and I'm so humbled by it, and I'd love to participate on it with all of our villagers out there. So please, I am inviting all of you. Please do come out and support.
Let me ask you a question. What can they do in the room? Play domino? Is that it?
But it's funny, they can't play dominoes. You got jokes today. Wait, and a serious joke-ish thing. Last night, the librarian said, right, one of the librarian at the Rugby Library in Brooklyn, which is on Utica Avenue, they said that on Thursdays from 5 to 6:30 or 5 to 7:30, they were playing dominoes. So dominoes is a big thing. It's good for mental health. Oh, before I forget, saying hello to all of our villagers, right? All of the villagers out there that chimed in on the conversation.
Yes, thank you.
My mom and my dad, my wife, my kids. Today, everybody is listening and have comments to even in the background. I hear them mumbling in the background. And all the villagers who are participating, the people who reached out to me on WhatsApp as well. So thank you for the participation. Let's talk about immigration.
That if you say anything wrong, they're going to deport you.
It goes to John's way of saying canceling you. Mahmoud Kadali, the doctor from I forgot the state, that's on a legal visa, they're looking to get rid of them. And I try to explain it in the group, that it's not like Empress said, they're not criminals. They're
illegal aliens.
They are exercising their freedom of speech without violence.
But
Dr. Brian, go ahead.
Taking laws from.
By the way, just for the second, you have about 45 seconds because then we could get everybody in. So, right, I'm
taking laws that was meant for war to deport people. Period. Okay, criminals, I understand, but then there's a process too. Or censoring and saying that, hey, they are part of this war company, so they are criminals, is unheard of. So, ladies and gentlemen, be careful, be careful, be careful. You're muted.
Attacking it from the perspective. Well, going back to your background as in law, right? Not in office, but in law. Pushing this issue on a legal front, right? What how do you, again, it goes back to fighting back. Are we as are Democrats just going to lay over and die?
I wouldn't, this whole thing is this, whether it's about due process. And I believe in due process, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Due process is what has allowed us to exist here in this America, giving us the opportunity at least to be heard, or have an opportunity to go to a hearing, to explain or to put forth evidence or put forth our position. So our inability to acknowledge the importance of a person's right to due process will lead to the demise of our democratic country. Because in countries such as Afghanistan, Iran, there's no such thing as due process. And that separates us from the rest of those dictatorial worlds or countries that do not give those who may be citizens, who may not be citizens, the ability to put forth and present evidence in your behalf. So that's my point.
I want to quickly go to Andre and attack our village pessimist point as well in your conversation. Most immigrants have the right to, but goes back to the point of why did these immigrants come here, right? So a village pessimist been have said that most immigrants need to leave. They have no reason to be here. Is that why they came here? Right? Mm-hmm. Right? And is that I believe that that's the Republicans' perspective, right? They need to leave, but they didn't need to. Why you came here? And again, John, to your point, many countries you can't even become citizens of their country, right? Dubai, the United Emirates, for example, it takes a litany of things for you to become a citizen of the United Emirates. But here in the United States, it creates a different opportunity. Is that what we're moving to, Andre?
So essentially, I think because of perhaps even foreign policy or just how countries like the U.S. Engage in other countries really and bring certain issues to the country now, kind of leave the countries in lawlessness, then America itself being posted up as the land of opportunity is where a lot of people want to come, right? They come for opportunity. I think the immigration policies from on both admins, one administration always want to welcome everybody, and the other wants to kick out everybody, right? So it's a balancing act. If we look back at different administrations, they were for some semblance of we need to have immigration, but also we have to be mindful of how we just let everyone come in just like that. I think one of the reasons that has to be considered is what's causing people to leave their homeland to come here, right? And of course, war, famine, all those other issues, but what causes those things, right? So I'm looking at from that scale.
Due process is one of the reasons why they come to America.
Yeah, I mean, what's causing that the issues in their home country that makes them like, we got
opportunity. There's so many different things we can talk about on that.
So that's so now if you continue going back onward, you'll see too, like for instance, I was watching a documentary on Puerto Rico. U.S. supposedly owned territory of Puerto Rico. But the way how Puerto Rico is being treated is crazy. It's insane, right? Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have a lot of people who leave there, right? The people leave there to come to America itself to be able to like you said, the opportunity. But USA isn't even pouring the necessities in Puerto Rico. You also have Haiti, right? You have Haiti. I remember Baba Doc, Aristide, taking them out of power, putting another in power, right? Like what's his name? Aristide. Aristide, my bad, right? US like him, and when you look at the history of it, they were funding military who were against him, and then they caused a coup, and this guy had to leave the country. So
yeah, I got to stop you there, Andre.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Right, we're out of time, right? We're definitely at that hour. I'm giving everybody.
Tony Roderick stopped me though.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it.
That is the funniest thing.
Right? I'm trying to keep it under control. Andre, take 30 seconds to finish. Then we go to Dr. Brian, and then John, you finish up, and then I just give the last words, and then we close for the evening. And make sure you include any birthday wishes or anything like that. Get well and stuff like that in there as well.
Everybody out there who's March birthdays, happy birthday. Last point, economic freedom, right? A lot of our some of our current issues. Study finances, people, right? Become versed in that and understand it. Understand how economic knowledge impacts you, and can build freedom from that.
Dr. Brian?
Wishing everybody a wonderful weekend. 1 week in advance. Next week, Saturday, not this Saturday. This Saturday, we got to join our brother. I won't be able to be there, but I'll be there in spirit with you. To play dominoes, but maybe next week some people could join me for an afternoon of wine and fun. Wishing you all a wonderful weekend and happy spring. With spring, let's bring it.
John?
Villagers, the only thing I can say is, you know what? Wake up, pay attention to what's going on around you, your surroundings, and what's happening, and see what impact we could have to change the direction that we feel certain things may be going in the wrong direction.
Amen.
Okay, a couple of last comments that I just put up on the screen so we get a chance. Everybody, if you missed the show, please, great show tonight, by the way, all of you, all of the audience, great job, great discussion. If you missed it, just go back, tag into our YouTube page and review the show, add your comments there, add your comments online. We appreciate all of you. Happy birthday to everyone. Pepsi, who's actually celebrating this birthday, to my granddaughter, whose birthday was on Monday, her first birthday, so happy birthday to her, although make sure it's there. And villagers, we love you. We love your participation. Keep participating. Keep joining. Tell a friend. Bring a friend. Share. Subscribe. For me, land of the free, is it really free? That's the question and the thought that I will leave you with for today. Land of the free, is it really free? God bless. Thank you for watching the Village Radio Talk Show right here on our YouTube station, on any media outlet that you get to watch us on. God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully a lot of you can come out on Saturday, where we're dedicated to empower the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, start from today. Please continue to share, subscribe, and participate. And again, I reiterate, thank you to my mama, who keeps saying it in my left ear that I need to remind everybody about her on the air. God bless. Take care, each and every one of you.
Bye, Mom.
Say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
I love Mom. I love her. Take care. Bye-bye.
I said it already.